This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Jamaican migrant worker found dead in Canada. A migrant worker from Jamaica has died while in isolation for COVID-19 in Ontario, Canada. It's reported that the unidentified man, who was in his 40s, arrived from Jamaica this month. The man was at an isolation center at a hotel in Essex County in southwestern Ontario and died between Sunday afternoon and Monday morning, days before his isolation was set to end. General Manager of Ontario Greenhouse and Vegetable Growers, Joe Sprocky, says the Jamaican was double vaccinated against COVID. He said the farmer that the Jamaican was scheduled to work for went to the hotel to check on him. When he did not answer the door, the farmer and the hotel manager went inside the room and found him dead. Triple murder rocks Trelawney. The Trelawney police are probing the circumstances surrounding the murder of 3 people, including 2 women, who were among 6 individuals shot up in a motor vehicle during the wee hours of Friday morning. According to a police source, the incident unfolded sometime after 1 a.m. in the Bounty Hall community, where unknown assailants sprayed bullets on occupants on board a Toyota Voxy minivan. The triple murder was the first major incident recorded by the police in the parish since the start of the year. Artist gunned down in St. James. The St. James police are trying to establish a motive for an attack that left a recording artist dead and another man injured in the Mount Pelier section of the parish Thursday afternoon. The dead man has been identified as 28-year-old Javon Willie, who went by the stage name Capella Don. He was said to be an up-and-coming artist who had started to make a name for himself in the western end of the island. The name of the injured man has not been released. According to police reports, the men were standing at a shop in Mount Pelier about 4:20 p.m. when armed men approached and began shooting. Willie died at hospital. The other man was admitted in serious condition. Investigations are ongoing. Lawsuit claims Jamaican detained for being born outside U.S. Neville Brooks, a Jamaican man living in Florida, filed a federal lawsuit on Thursday against the sheriff and his deputies, claiming he was illegally detained solely because he was born in Jamaica. Brooks, who is lawfully a U.S. resident, was detained in Central Florida in August 2020. According to the suit against Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods and his deputies, a federal immigration officer told multiple county employees that Brooks wasn't subject to any immigration detention request. However, the 59-year-old was detained until the following day. 5 days later, he tested positive for COVID-19, the lawsuit claims. It further accuses the sheriff's office of having a policy of detaining people merely because they were born outside of the U.S. and that Brooks's constitutional rights were violated, and the state law against false imprisonment also was violated. Brooks was originally arrested on a charge of misdemeanor battery, which was later dismissed. His bail was set at US $100 amid concern that he could be exposed to COVID-19 in jail, the lawsuit states. The lawsuit claims that family members posted his bail, but he was not released as, according to authorities, he was being held by federal immigration agents. The lawsuit says U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement never issued a detainer administrative warrant or any other request to hold Brooks. Brooks is seeking undisclosed financial damages and for an order barring the sheriff's office from detaining people from immigration enforcement merely because they were born outside the U.S., noting that his office hadn't yet been served with the lawsuit, so he could not comment on it. Sergeant Paul Bloom, in an email, said the sheriff's office is required by Florida law to use its best efforts to support the enforcement of federal immigration law. He added that it will continue to do that. Jamaican FBI military agents say they will not share information with a corruption watchdog. 2 influential Jamaicans who claim they have information linking prominent local officials to corruption and fraud say they won't be accepting an invitation from the Integrity Commission to share their information in confidence. The two, Herb Nelson, who spent 15 years in the United States Intelligence Committee and over 2 decades in the military, and the former Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Wilfred Rattigan, said they had a strong belief that to provide any assistance to the Commission would be an exercise in futility. They further alleged that some of the Jamaican investigative organs had demonstrated an abject failure to protect information and sources. As part of a joint statement, Nelson, a former North America representative for Cyberpol, the international cyber policing organization, said he was commissioned by a third party in Jamaica to initiate a public corruption investigation of prominent Jamaican politicians. He did not name the third party or the prominent Jamaican politicians. Nelson said the results of Cyberpol's comprehensive report were provided to the requesting party circa 2019, but that to his knowledge nothing had been done, although he had been assured in writing by a sitting member of parliament that the investigative results were forwarded to the Integrity Commission. He vowed that in light of that development, he had no additional information to provide the Commission. But asked by the news to comment on the claims, Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, Greg Christie, said the Commission had no knowledge of the submission of the alleged report to it, but he left the door open. Anyone who is aware of or is interested in having the Commission investigate any matter which concerns alleged corruption is invited to bring the matter to the Commission's Director of Information and Complaints in confidence, and in so doing to provide the particulars of the corruption that is being alleged, said Christie. Regarding the Cyberpol report, Christie said the same advice applied. The authors of that report, whomever they might be, should feel free to submit a copy of the report in confidence directly to the Director of Information and Complaint. He further advised that the Commission is prohibited by Section 53 of the Integrity Commission Act from commenting on its investigations. However, Rattigan listed several issues he said continued to plague efforts to deal with the matters of corruption and fraud in high places, among them that the Jamaican public had little confidence in the investigative institutions to effectively address public corruption. Rattigan, who is now an attorney licensed to practice before the United States Court, also claimed that international organizations had consistently identified public corruption as a threat to Jamaica's national security. He noted that despite the outstanding work being done by some of the local investigative agencies, particularly the Integrity Commission and the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA, they generally act in silos except for the occasional cooperation with strategic partners, arguing that no one had been prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced in recent times, despite the fact that Jamaica's politics is replete with numerous scandals. He had no interest in providing any more information relative to public corruption and fraud in Jamaica. PSOJ calls for transparency and due process in Bengal development plans for St. Anne. The private sector organization of Jamaica is advocating for strong adherence by Bengal Development Limited, Jamaica World LLC, to the preconditions set out by the National Environment and Planning Agency in its development plans for St. Anne. The PSOJ also called for transparency regarding the payments of performance bonds along with environmental controls including proper dust and water management plans. It is alleged that the company was granted a third extension for the payment of an environmental bond imposed by the Prime Minister after it missed the second deadline on March 2021 for the payment. In a statement on Friday, the PSOJ said it believes that no singular organization should benefit from the perception of preferential treatment and exemptions from stated rules and that due process must be followed to bolster transparency and accountability. We believe that these protocols were crafted by capable technocrats within the sector to strike an effective balance between economic development and environmental protection, it explained, while calling for strong adherence to the preconditions set out by NEPA. The PSOG noted other conditions regarding this development, including the potential conflict with the island's tourism product and the growing resort investment, which may be more real than perceived or contemplated, the surrounding residential communities, which will also be negatively impacted by environmental factors, and the cost to maintain and repair the road network infrastructure due to the heightened trucking of aggregate along the North Coast Highway, which is also of concern. Any previous steps to promote harmony between these areas, which are now both vested within the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation being led by the Office of the Prime Minister, will not be well served if one concern overrides the other with disregard for technical input of specialists, it added. On Sunday, January 9, the People's National Party also called for the National Environment and the Planning Agency and the Natural Resources Conservation Authority to immediately provide the country with a detailed explanation for the granted extension. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.